Welcome back to The Line. This week, a bill that passed in the state legislature made national and international headlines. The legislation signed by Governor Martinez will end what's known as lunch shaming. That's a practice in school. What that looks like varies in different communities across the country, certainly, but it might be serving a student cold cheese sandwiches, stamping on their arm needs lunch money, or requiring that students do chores for a hot meal. No. Senator Michael Padilla sponsored the bill. It was personal. Let's hear what he told our producer, Sarah Gustavus, earlier this week.
I have a Jalisco Heritage Academy High School in my district, the largest high school in New Mexico, 2,800 kids. There might be 400 students with debt with the lunchroom. And so what this does is it creates more of a constant funding flow through federal subsidies to the school rather than chasing down the 5, 10, 20, whatever parents that might owe them money. None of that goes away with the legislation. The parents, the school can still collect on that debt. They can still make sure that that's taken care of that way. However, this just kind of corrects a wrong that has been going on for decades.
What was happening to kids that you wanted to see stop?
Well, a couple of things. So when I was growing up, I grew up in foster homes in the All Faiths Receiving Home for Homeless Children. They are a different focus now, but my sisters and I grew up there. And I can remember having to set down tables and chairs for the other kids to sit and have their lunch. I can remember at the end of the lunch hour, or each lunch hour, usually there were a couple of them, having to clean the tables myself, having to clean in the kitchen, just so that I would be given maybe a piece of bread and a piece of cheese for lunch. So the stigmatization and stigmatizing these children that way can possibly last with them for the rest of their lives.
Sophie, interestingly, bipartisan bill. A lot of folks got this in the legislature. Clearly it was signed and it's just blown up. It's amazing. About 3 or 4 people here, including the senator, have been on national TV all over the place.
That's right.
A nerve has been touched here. Now, we talked about this issue at this table way back when students were being shamed. Is this the answer to you? Has this been solved?
No, because I think while this is a good bill, I'm thrilled that it passed and I'm thrilled that the governor signed it. The issue is going to be an implementation. So how do the schools actually make this happen? On what timeline do they make it happen? And what decisions do they make in order to provide lunches to kids? And so, I just think we're going to be back here in a year or two saying, okay, so how did this work out? There are going to be some schools, I'm sure, that'll get sued over this issue. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a lot of working through it. And, my hope is that it doesn't hit the kids, that this creates an immediate positive change for the kids. Right. I think it remains to be seen if that'll happen. But I cannot say enough. Thank you to the sponsors of the bill. Thank you to New Mexico Appleseed for putting it forward, to the governor for signing it. Mm-hmm. And I'm thrilled that our state is the one that has been able to bring this to public attention.
There you go. Andy, in a state with so much food insecurity and so much poverty, the idea that we were sending kids out back to an afternoon's worth of classwork on an empty stomach is it's unbelievable for whatever reason. But have we solved the problem? Same question. Are we in the clear here?
I don't think so. I think it's maybe in the right direction, but again, implementation, there's a little vagueness of how they're going to do this. I kind of understand the idea that they'll save time and energy from trying to collect from those parents that haven't paid. But there's still more questions as far as how do you make sure that you just don't have this debt sitting out there?
Right.
How do you operate a lunchroom without money?
Yeah, it's a good question. Janice, I'm always curious if this is a function of bad policy, bad individual decisions, bad culture. How does these decisions actually get to the surface where someone could actually turn away a kid at a lunch counter and nobody says anything about it? Like it's just accepted as a thing to do.
Having had my kids across the country, yeah. I want to say thank you, Senator Padilla, because this does happen across the country. Right. And let me just label the Dragon Ladies of Florida. I have never seen individuals treat children so badly. And so I have to just go back to, are you unable to distinguish an adult problem that is not the child's doing? And that really kind of gets to the core of your question is, why is this happening? And a lot of it is leadership. Mm-hmm. It happens in the lunchroom. And if the principal doesn't say, you may not treat our children like this, it's really easy. But I've got to ask the question, is this courage? Is this using children as a human shield? How is that any better? But that's the result. And having seen this across, I was hoping it had gone away. but it has not. And Andy's right. We're not finished.
Yeah.
We're not finished.
Texas and California are looking at similar legislation now, Dan McKay. It's interesting. You know, the idea, again, ostracizing a child or somehow making a child feel like they are the only, like a cold chill just goes right through me. It's incredible. But, you know, Senator Padilla, you know, I love that interview so much when he can speak to an issue from a very personal point of view. Yes, he's punched through in his life, but a lot of kids, if they come up hungry, they don't punch through. Is it our job to help kids that way? Is it government's job, taxpayers' jobs? Is it on all of us to make sure every kid has a full stomach?
Well, the legislature and the governor certainly think so.
Okay.
You know, schools are, you know, being a teacher or a cafeteria worker, those are frontline jobs where you encounter some of the worst problems in society. You can't ignore it. So these problems crop up in schools and other places. I think that this legislation is something that it was a rare bright spot, but you know, for the governor and lawmakers, that they both agreed on this, and I think they have legitimate hope that it will make a difference.
You know,
And
this
our
is,
state,
go ahead, please.
we're leading.
That's right. That's right.
And on a good thing, on a very good thing.
Exactly right. What do you guys make of, Andy, I'll start with you on this one. There is some citizen work out there to try to solve this problem, like meaning folks call for volunteers to help pay down the costs of these things for parents anonymously, just making anonymous donations to pay down school. Is that where we should be as a public? Is paying down other kids' school lunches? You see what I mean here?
I definitely
it's a
think
difficulty.
I definitely think that that's a positive way to do it.
Yeah.
There seems to be, if you kind of put the word out there and encourage people to do it, but don't require them to do it, you're
Right.
not raising taxes or anything for them, but you say, hey, you know, it's kind of like giving a United Way donation or something. If
Right.
you want to come donate to someone's lunch.
Sure.
Yeah.
I could see that
I have to
side.
say,
but-
I disagree.
Okay.
I think that this is a failure of our government to adequately tax in order to make sure that we're covering the costs we need to cover. And really, going back to Reagan, this drumbeat of, oh, the community will take care of it, churches will take care of it, nonprofits will take care of it. You know what? This is a government responsibility. At this point, it may not have been 50 years ago that we expected government to provide lunches to kids whose families couldn't. But government is there to take care of thorny issues that individuals can't or won't handle themselves. This is one of those issues. And to expect a school or an individual to have to run a GoFundMe in order to make sure kids are adequately fed, I think leads down a really slippery slope toward, I don't, you know,
Sure.
even less taxation. And I know that taxation is such a dirty word, but like we have to prioritize where our energy is put.
Right.
And I'd much rather, frankly, be putting a couple dollars in through my taxes and everybody shouldering that
Boom.
than an individual having to say, here's 50 grand, let's see,
That's
in
right.
non-recurring funds.
That's right. Janice, pick up on that because I'm wondering if this lets the government off the hook a little bit.
Well,
You know?
I think it does, and,
Yeah.
and the reason this is such a fragile solution at this moment is there is going to be a certain percentage of the population, the 10% of parents who choose not to take care of their kids, and there will be a hue and cry that these parents, it's not that they can't, they don't.
Right.
And that really stifles volunteerism. It just does.
Yeah.
And so does that go back to, I think we have other issues, and I think the schools will need to deal with this issue differently.
It's a bigger
and not
issue.
in the cafeteria.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point too, because if you think about the cost of food as it's done in schools, maybe these meals are too expensive given what they're getting. I mean, who knows? Let's finish up here. You know, politics-wise, there's not much where to go from here, but we are leading. And like I mentioned, California and Texas are looking at this as well. So I'm curious where we're going to be a year from now, because since we're leading, folks are going to be looking at us first to see if this implementation is going to work. You see what I mean? So we're on the hook now. That's what happens when you lead. So, yeah.
I do wonder if at some point the burden will be flipped so that rather than trying to sign up children, maybe you assume they're already qualified because in APS, 3/4 of the kids already qualify for free or reduced lunch. So
Right.
it almost makes sense. Maybe you try and identify the 1/4 who aren't qualified rather than the 3/4 who are. I'm not a policy expert. I don't know the answer, but I certainly can understand why it's a monumental job to deal with 3/4 of the students trying to get this paperwork done.
Interesting there. Now, when we come back to the line, we'll talk about a scam that cost the city of Albuquerque more than $400,000.